You walk through life quite certain, don't you? Certain of your likes, your dislikes, your beliefs, your core identity. You navigate your days with a map of yourself, one you believe to be accurate, detailed, perhaps even complete. It feels familiar, comfortable, like an old coat worn through countless seasons. This feeling of self-knowledge is deeply ingrained, a fundamental assumption about our own existence. We rarely stop to question its validity. But what if that map, that comfortable coat, is misleading? What if the territory of you is far vaster, stranger, and less explored than you imagine? Consider a moment you surprised yourself, an unexpected burst of anger, a sudden act of kindness you hadn't planned, a fear that seemed irrational. Where did that come from? Was it on your map? This brings us to a rather unsettling idea, famously explored by the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates. An idea that cuts through our comfortable self-assurance. What if you don't really know yourself at all? Not in the deep, fundamental way you assume. This isn't meant to diminish you, but to open a door to profound discovery. Socrates spent his life in the bustling marketplace of Athens, not lecturing from a high pulpit, but engaging in relentless questioning. He challenged politicians, poets, artisans, people considered wise and knowledgeable, asking them to define concepts they used every day: justice, courage, love, piety. He probed their assumptions, exposing the often shallow foundations of their certainty. What he consistently found wasn't malice, but a profound lack of self-awareness. People thought they knew, but when pressed, their definitions crumbled. They confused familiarity with understanding, habit with conscious choice, opinion with knowledge. They hadn't truly examined the beliefs driving their actions and judgments. Does this sound familiar? Even millennia later, we often do the same. The oracle at Delphi famously declared Socrates the wisest man in Athens. Socrates himself was baffled. He believed he knew nothing. But through questioning others, he realized his wisdom lay not in having answers, but in being acutely aware of his own ignorance. Unlike others, he didn't pretend to know what he did not know. This is the first crucial step towards genuine self-knowledge, acknowledging the vastness of our unknowing. We carry around a collection of beliefs, preferences, and reactions acquired throughout life, from parents, culture, experiences. But how often do we rigorously examine them? How often do we ask, is this truly mine? Is this truly true? Think about a strong opinion you hold. Where did it come from? Can you trace its origin? Can you articulate clearly and precisely the reasons why you hold it? Can you argue convincingly for the opposite viewpoint? Often, we find our certainty rests on shaky ground, hearsay, emotion, or simple repetition. We mistake the intensity of a feeling for the validity of a belief. Socrates championed the idea, the unexamined life is not worth living. This isn't a judgment, but an invitation to turn the questioning gaze inward, to apply that same rigorous inquiry not just to grand concepts, but to the intimate landscape of our own minds, hearts, and habits. This is where the real adventure begins. So why don't we know ourselves? Firstly, because we rarely engage in this kind of honest self-examination. It's easier, more comfortable to live on the surface, accepting the ready-made answers provided by our ego or our culture. True self-inquiry requires courage, the courage to face potentially uncomfortable truths about ourselves. Our minds are masters of self-deception. The ego, that sense of I, works tirelessly to maintain a consistent and usually favorable self-image. It filters information, rationalizes poor behavior, and conveniently forgets moments that contradict its preferred narrative. It constructs a story about who we are and fiercely defends it, often unconsciously. Consider how quickly we justify our mistakes. I was stressed. They made me do it. It wasn't my fault. While sometimes valid, these readily available excuses often serve to protect our ego from the discomfort of acknowledging flaws or taking full responsibility. True self-knowledge involves seeing past these convenient narratives. Secondly, we are deeply shaped by forces we barely recognize. Our culture, upbringing, education, even the language we speak, installs layers of assumptions and biases within us. These operate silently in the background, influencing our perceptions, values, and choices without our conscious awareness. We think we are choosing freely, but often we are merely acting out ingrained programming. Think of politeness norms, ideas about success, gender roles, or even what constitutes a good life. How much of your adherence to these comes from conscious agreement after deep reflection, and how much from simply absorbing what's around you? Untangling these threads is essential Socratic work for the self. Thirdly, our inner world is constantly shifting. Feelings ebb and flow like tides. Thoughts arise and vanish like clouds. What felt true yesterday might feel alien today. We are not static entities but dynamic processes. Trying to pin down a fixed self is like trying to grasp water. It requires observing the flow, not freezing a single moment. This dynamism is often uncomfortable. We crave certainty and consistency. When our inner state contradicts our self-image, I'm usually calm, why am I so anxious? We might suppress the feeling or judge ourselves harshly. Accepting this inner weather, observing it without judgment, is key to knowing the true climate of our being. Furthermore, much of our motivation operates beneath the surface of consciousness. Psychologists speak of the subconscious or unconscious mind, a vast reservoir of drives, fears, desires, and memories that powerfully influence our behavior, often without our explicit knowledge. We might think we know why we do something, but the real reasons lie deeper. Consider recurring patterns in your life, perhaps in relationships, career choices, or reactions to stress. Are you consciously choosing these patterns, or do they seem to happen to you? These repetitions often point towards unexamined unconscious dynamics. Bringing them into the light, Socratic style, is crucial for change. So the Socratic challenge isn't about reaching a final, definitive answer to who am I? That might be impossible, even undesirable. Instead, it's about embracing the process of self-inquiry. It's about cultivating the habit of questioning our assumptions, observing our inner world with honesty, and acknowledging the limits of our knowledge. This process begins with simple, yet profound, questions we can ask ourselves daily. Not seeking immediate answers, but allowing the questions to resonate, to open up spaces within us. Let's explore how we might begin this inner Socratic dialogue. It's less about finding answers and more about living in the question. First, identify a belief you hold about yourself. Perhaps, I am a patient person, or I am not creative, or I need external validation. Choose something that feels fundamental to your self-concept. Write it down, state it clearly. This is the starting point of your examination. Now channel your inner Socrates. Ask, what evidence do I have for this belief? Think specific instances. When have you demonstrated patience? When have you failed to? Be brutally honest. Don't just recall confirming evidence. Actively seek disconfirming evidence. Where does the belief falter? Next, question the origin of this belief. Did someone tell you this about yourself? Did you conclude it after a specific event? Is it a story you've told yourself for so long it feels true? Was it perhaps a defense mechanism adopted long ago? Tracing the roots can reveal much about its current validity. Consider the consequences of holding this belief. How does it affect your choices, your feelings, your relationships? Does believing, I am not creative, stop you from trying new things? Does believing, I need validation, make you overly dependent on others' opinions? See the belief not just as a statement, but as an active force in your life. Now look for internal contradictions. Does this belief clash with other beliefs you hold? Do your actions sometimes contradict it? For example, if you believe, I am always logical, can you recall times you acted purely on emotion? Acknowledging these inconsistencies is vital. It shows the belief isn't the whole picture. Try defining the key terms. If you believe I am a kind person, what does kindness truly mean to you? Define it precisely. Does your definition hold up in all situations? Could others define it differently? Often, our core beliefs rest on vague or unexamined definitions. Socrates knew the power of precise language. What if the opposite were true, or partially true? Entertain the possibility. If you believe I am not good enough, spend time genuinely considering the ways you are good enough. If you believe I am always right, explore scenarios where you might be wrong. This isn't about self-criticism, but about expanding your perspective beyond rigid self-definitions. This process isn't about demolition, but clarification. It's like cleaning a dusty lens. You might find the original belief holds up, but now with deeper understanding and nuance. Or you might find it needs modification, or even discarding entirely. The goal isn't destruction, but seeing more clearly. Crucially, this involves embracing Socratic ignorance, the humble admission, I don't fully know. When you probe a belief and find contradictions or shaky foundations, the wise response isn't panic, but curiosity. This is more complex than I thought. What else might be true here? This openness is where growth happens. This inner Socratic dialogue isn't a one-time event. It's a practice, a way of being. It requires cultivating mindfulness, paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and reactions as they happen, without immediate judgment, noticing the assumptions that automatically arise in daily situations. When you feel a strong emotional reaction, anger, fear, defensiveness, pause. Ask, what belief is being challenged here? What assumption is underlying this feeling? Instead of just reacting, use the emotion as a signal, an invitation to look deeper. What core belief about yourself or the world feels threatened? Consider your justifications. When you explain your actions to yourself or others, listen closely to the narrative you construct. Is it entirely accurate? Is it smoothing over uncomfortable truths? Ask, what am I not saying? What am I trying to protect by telling this version of the story? This process requires intellectual honesty. It means being willing to be wrong. It means valuing truth, even uncomfortable truth about yourself, more than you value being right or maintaining a flattering self-image. This honesty is the bedrock of genuine self-discovery. It's the courage Socrates embodied. Living this way doesn't mean constant self-doubt or analysis paralysis. It means developing a background awareness, a gentle curiosity about your own inner workings. It's like having a wise, questioning companion walking alongside you, your own inner Socrates, observing, prompting, clarifying. It's about noticing the automatic judgments you make about others. Often, our strongest judgments reflect something unexamined within ourselves, a projection, a disowned quality, an insecurity. Ask, why does this particular trait in someone else bother me so much? What might it reveal about my own hidden landscape? This Socratic approach frees us from the prison of fixed identity. When we realize we don't fully know ourselves, we are no longer bound by limiting self-definitions. I'm just not that kind of person. We open up to possibility, change, and growth. We become less predictable, more authentic. It cultivates humility. The more we examine, the more we realize the complexity and mystery of our own being. This replaces brittle certainty with a grounded sense of wonder. It fosters empathy too. Realizing our own confusion helps us understand the struggles of others. Accepting I don't fully know myself isn't a resignation, it's an empowerment. It means you are not finished. You are not finalized. You are a work in progress, capable of learning, evolving, and becoming more conscious. It shifts the focus from who you are to who you are becoming. This journey requires patience. Self-discovery isn't instant. It unfolds over time, through consistent, gentle inquiry. There will be moments of clarity followed by periods of confusion. Trust the process. The value lies in the ongoing exploration, not in reaching some mythical endpoint of perfect self-knowledge. So the statement, you don't really know yourself, isn't an accusation. It's perhaps the most liberating truth we can embrace. It's the key that unlocks the door to a deeper, more authentic, and endlessly fascinating engagement with the mystery that is you. It's the beginning of wisdom. How can you begin to integrate this practice into your life, starting today? It doesn't require hours of meditation or complex rituals. It begins with small moments of mindful curiosity. Start by observing your breath for a minute. Notice the simple rise and fall, the sensation of being alive right now. Throughout your day, notice moments of automatic reaction. When someone cuts you off in traffic or when you receive criticism. Before you react habitually, take one conscious breath. Ask inwardly, what am I feeling? What assumption is driving this reaction? Just notice without judgment. Consider keeping a simple journal. At the end of the day, reflect on one moment where you felt a strong emotion or acted in a way that surprised you. Write down what happened, what you felt, and gently question the underlying beliefs or assumptions at play. No need for grand conclusions, just honest observation. Pay attention to your shoulds and shouldn'ts. I should be more productive. I shouldn't feel angry. Where do these rules come from? Are they truly yours or echoes of external expectations? Gently question their authority. What if you allowed yourself to be exactly as you are in this moment? Practice active listening in conversations. Not just hearing words, but trying to understand the underlying assumptions and feelings of the other person. Notice how often you interrupt, formulate your response while they speak, or filter their words through your own biases. This practice mirrors the inner listening we need. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding? Are there difficult emotions, uncomfortable truths, or challenging tasks I consistently steer clear of? Avoidance patterns are rich sources of self-information. Gently probing why you avoid something can reveal deep-seated fears or limiting beliefs. Don't force, just inquire. Reflect on what brings you genuine joy or a sense of deep engagement, not fleeting pleasure, but profound satisfaction. When do you lose track of time? What activities make you feel truly alive? These moments often point towards authentic aspects of yourself, beyond social conditioning or egoic striving. Question your definition of success. Is it based on external markers, wealth, status, recognition? Or does it include inner qualities, peace, wisdom, compassion, authenticity? Is your current pursuit of success aligned with your deepest values or adopted from elsewhere? This inquiry can reshape your entire life path. Remember, this is not about finding fault or becoming overly self-critical. It's about cultivating compassionate curiosity. Treat your inner world like a fascinating landscape you are exploring for the first time. Observe its features, the mountains of strength, the valleys of vulnerability, the rivers of emotion, with wonder. The wisdom of Socrates lies not in providing easy answers, but in empowering us with the right questions. By embracing the idea that we don't fully know ourselves, we open the door to lifelong learning, deeper authenticity, and a richer, more conscious experience of being alive. This journey inward requires a certain quality of attention, gentle, sustained, non-judgmental. Like tending a delicate plant, you watch it, provide what it needs: light, water. But you don't force its growth or criticize its current state. Apply this same gentle tending to your self-awareness. Notice the stories you tell yourself about your past. Are they fixed narratives, or do you allow for complexity and multiple interpretations? How does the story you tell shape your present identity? Questioning the narrative can free you from being defined solely by past events. You are more than your history. Observe your desires. What do you truly long for beneath the surface wants? Is it connection, peace, meaning, freedom? Often, our specific desires for a new car, a promotion, are symbolic representations of deeper, more fundamental human needs. Identifying these core needs brings clarity. How do you react to uncertainty or ambiguity? Do you rush to find answers, impose order, or feel anxious? Or can you tolerate the not knowing? Practicing staying present with uncertainty, without needing immediate resolution, builds resilience and opens you to unexpected insights. This is Socratic humility in action. Consider your relationship with silence and solitude. Can you be comfortable alone with your thoughts, or do you constantly seek distraction? Moments of quietude are fertile ground for self-reflection. They allow the subtler signals from your inner world to emerge, unfiltered by external noise. Notice how your body feels throughout the day. Tension in the shoulders, tightness in the gut, a sudden flush of heat. Our bodies often register truths our minds try to ignore. Learning to listen to these physical signals provides another layer of self-information, bypassing intellectual defenses. Question your attachments. What people, possessions, ideas, or identities do you cling to? What would happen if you lost them? Examining our attachments reveals our perceived sources of security and happiness, and often our greatest vulnerabilities and fears. True freedom lies in non-attachment, which begins with awareness. Engage with perspectives different from your own. Read books, listen to people, explore ideas that challenge your worldview. This isn't about agreeing, but about understanding. Seeing the world through different eyes helps loosen the grip of your own assumptions and reveals the constructed nature of your reality tunnel. Be patient with the process. Some insights come in flashes, others emerge slowly over years of gentle questioning. There is no deadline for self-discovery. The commitment to the journey itself is the most important step. Each small act of honest self-reflection adds light to the inner landscape. Ultimately, the Socratic path leads not to a fixed definition of self, but to a dynamic relationship with the unfolding mystery of your own consciousness. It's a shift from seeking certainty to embracing curiosity, from defending an identity to exploring potential. It is the art of living consciously. This acceptance of not knowing fosters intellectual humility. It allows us to approach disagreements with less defensiveness and more openness. If we acknowledge our own potential for error and unexamined bias, we become better listeners and more constructive dialogue partners. It can also alleviate the pressure of perfectionism. If you accept that you are a complex, contradictory, and ever-evolving being, you don't need to maintain a facade of flawless consistency. You can embrace your imperfections as part of the human experience, areas ripe for further exploration and growth. Recognizing our shared lack of complete self-knowledge can deepen our compassion. We see others not as fully formed, predictable entities, but as fellow travelers on a complex journey, grappling with their own unseen conditioning, fears, and aspirations. This shared vulnerability fosters connection. The inner Socratic dialogue helps distinguish between the authentic self and the conditioned persona. As you question ingrained beliefs and automatic reactions, you begin to sense a deeper intelligence or presence within, a core self that observes, learns, and chooses more consciously. This process empowers genuine choice. When you are unaware of your underlying assumptions and motivations, your choices are often predetermined by conditioning. By bringing these factors into conscious awareness, you gain the freedom to pause, reflect, and choose responses aligned with your deeper values, rather than reacting automatically. Living Socratically means becoming comfortable with paradox. You can be both strong and vulnerable, wise and ignorant, consistent and ever-changing. Self-knowledge isn't about resolving these tensions into a neat package, but holding them consciously, recognizing the rich tapestry of your multifaceted being. This approach encourages continuous learning and adaptation. If you believe you already know yourself completely, there's no incentive to learn or change. But if you embrace ongoing inquiry, life becomes a perpetual classroom, every experience an opportunity to refine your understanding and evolve your responses. It shifts the focus from external validation to internal alignment. When you are engaged in genuine self-discovery, the need for others' approval diminishes. Your sense of worth becomes rooted in your commitment to truth, authenticity, and conscious living, rather than fleeting external praise or criticism. This path requires courage, the courage to look honestly, to question cherished beliefs, to sit with discomfort, to admit ignorance. But it's not the courage of aggression or defense. It's the quiet, steady courage of the witness, the explorer of inner landscapes. Embracing, I don't know is not an endpoint, but a starting principle. It's the fertile ground from which genuine understanding can grow. It clears away the weeds of assumption and egoic certainty, allowing the seeds of wisdom to take root and flourish within you. This journey transforms your relationship with problems. Instead of seeing challenges as obstacles or personal failures, you can view them as opportunities for Socratic inquiry. What belief is being triggered here? What can I learn about myself from this situation? Problems become teachers in disguise. It leads to a greater sense of agency. While you can't always control external events, you can cultivate awareness of your inner responses. Through self-inquiry, you gain more power over how you interpret and react to life, shifting from being a passive recipient to an active participant in your experience. This is not about achieving a state of perfect enlightenment or constant bliss. It's about embracing the fullness of your humanity, the light and the shadow, the clarity and the confusion, with awareness and compassion. It's about living more truthfully, moment by moment. The legacy of Socrates isn't a set of doctrines, but a method, an attitude. It's the invitation to question everything, especially ourselves, with rigor and humility. To recognize that the path to wisdom begins with acknowledging what we don't know. So when faced with the claim you don't really know yourself, perhaps the wisest response isn't defensiveness, but a thoughtful pause, a flicker of curiosity and the quiet inner question. Is that true? And if so, what might I discover if I dare to look? This isn't about adding another task to your busy life. It's about shifting the quality of your attention, bringing a gentle, Socratic curiosity to the life you are already living. Noticing your assumptions, questioning your reactions, observing your inner world with kindness. The initial discomfort of realizing you don't know yourself gives way to a profound sense of freedom and possibility. You are no longer confined by a rigid, potentially inaccurate self-image. You are free to explore, to learn, to grow, to become. True self-knowledge in the Socratic sense is not a destination you arrive at, declaring, "I know myself." It is the ongoing, dynamic process of inquiry itself. It is living the examined life, day by day, question by question. It is the commitment to peeling back the layers of conditioning, assumption, and self-deception, not to find a fixed core, but to engage more authentically with the ever-unfolding mystery of your own being, to become intimate with your own inner landscape. This journey requires nothing more than your willingness to be honest, curious, and kind towards yourself. To embrace the Socratic spirit of inquiry as a companion on your path. To find wisdom not in definitive answers, but in the richness of the questions. So perhaps you don't know yourself completely. And perhaps that is the most wonderful invitation of all. An invitation to begin the greatest exploration there is. The exploration of the intricate, mysterious, and ever-evolving universe within you. The unexamined life may not be worth living, not because it lacks external achievements, but because it misses the profound richness and potential for growth available through self-awareness. The examined life is where true vitality resides. Let the questions linger. What belief about yourself did you accept without question today? What reaction surprised you? What assumption guided your choices? Let these questions be gentle prompts, opening doors to deeper understanding, not tools for self-judgment. Knowing thyself in the end is less about achieving a final state and more about cultivating a particular way of relating to your own experience, with curiosity, honesty, and courage. It is the practice of presence, the art of conscious living. Embrace the mystery. Embrace the journey. The most profound discoveries often lie hidden not in distant lands, but within the familiar territory you thought you already knew so well. The exploration starts now, with your very next breath, your very next thought.